Welcome to Elvenhome. After a break of some 4 weeks, I think, almost. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself at the Edinburgh Fringe and at the Edinburgh Book Festival, and it's now time to get back to some serious modelling. This video, largely, almost exclusively actually, concentrates on the work to complete the building of Sharkey's End Station and the scenic work around there. As you'll discover as the video goes on, my ambitious plans to complete everything finally, there's much more work in it than I expected, but you'll see how far I got by the time we get to the end of the video. Can I now just say thank you to everybody that responded to me on the plans for High Elven, which I'm thinking about the various suggestions that were made, including swapping the station for the goods yard and curve points, and a revised plan has been put together, but I'm just cogitating on that, so I hope to come back to that for the next video. And can I also say thank you for the fact that I passed 1,000 subscribers about the time that the last video went up, which is an astonishing number. I'm very pleased and grateful to you all for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe now. I look forward to doing more of these videos and for you to continue to enjoy the development of High Elven. So let's return now to a couple of weeks ago when I started thinking about, in between going to fringe shows, what Sharkey's End Station might look like. And you'll see the development of the build to the point where something at least appears on the layout. Speak to you again in just a moment. You may recall in my last video that I positioned the area that will be bounded by High Elven. As a consequence of that, I could decide where the bowstring bridge would go, and as a consequence of that, I know precisely where Sharkey's End Station is going to go. So it's time to build Sharkey's End Station. The station I've always envisaged as a halt. It's not in a heavily built up area, but people would want a quick way to get across the ravine from Sharkey's End side to High Elven side, and putting a halt there, which was probably almost certainly a request stop, would have been a reasonable thing to do, because there really is no distance between Sharkey's End and where High Elven, the terminus of the branch line, will be. So I needed an inspiration for the shelter, because this platform will have little more than a shelter on it. And what you see in front of you is a picture taken from a website called disused-stations.org.uk. I'll put a link below in the description. It's a very dangerous website, so be careful, because you go on to try and find something and 2 or 3 hours later you're still flicking through pictures of long gone stations. But this is a picture of Foggerthorpe Station, built originally by the York and North Midland Railway, opened in 1864, and this picture is from 1905. I'm not sure whether by then York and North Midland had amalgamated with others. It would be before the 1923 grouping, of course, but it would have come into the LNER in 1923, and that LNER is the rough area that Elvenhome is broadly set in, given that it's an entirely fictional place. And as you'll see, this shelter is pretty basic. It really is a box with windows and a door in the front, and just a place to keep people warm, or relatively warm, and out of wind and rain whilst they await the arrival of the train. So that's the kind of idea that I have for the building for Sharkey's End. And this morning I started work on just fiddling around with a few ideas, and I thought before I got too involved, I'll show you where I am now, and then we can follow the building of Sharkey's End, and I can give you an idea of what's in my mind. So that's a dangerous thing too. So if I just can bring you back out again and drop you down and round to the table in a seamless movement. Hurrah! Right, let me just straighten you up a bit. Oh, there we go. What we have here is the results of my morning's work. This is just a simple Metcalfe platform with a bit of the edging on. the way I'm going to do this platform, I wanted it to be stronger because the Metcalfe card is quite bendy, and as those of you that have made Metcalfe platforms will know, you use lots of supports underneath to give rigidity to the structure. So I've stuck it to 2 pieces of mount board. Even that was reused because this morning I received something for another project that I'm doing from York Model Railways, or York Model Rail, and the thing that I received was attached to a piece of mount board, and this is all that's left of that mount board because it's absolutely half the distance of this platform. It must have been its fate. So 2 pieces of that have been stuck to the bottom, and I also have started making the shelter. Now this is Evergreen's sheet styrene. I'll put it in here so you can see which one it is. It's the V groove. If I bring this nearer to the camera, you can see the grooves in the plastic. In fact, I was looking for something else, so I really am a modeler. I didn't know I had this, and I just came across it, and I thought, aha, there is my. That's exactly the stuff I want. So this morning, this shelter in scale size is 10 feet, 8 feet, something like that. 8 feet deep and 20 foot wide. So that's a decent shelter, should keep people out. And it stands 10 foot high. So I think that's a reasonable size. Looking at the picture, I think those may be slightly bigger buildings, but this will do me. And as you see, it will have a sloping roof, so there'll be a pitch on the roof when we go to the back. At the moment, I've cut out the doors and windows. This is quite flimsy card, so it's got 2 pieces in to brace it, and that's really given it some nice rigidity. I'm not going to light in this, I don't think, so those won't be visible by the time I've finished. So the station will need to, I'm going to paint this sort of the LNER colours, so a kind of creamy yellow up here, and then again I'll either put a barge board on the bottom there or paint this bottom one with the LNER green, and then a felt effect covered roof for the top. That is going to sit on the platform, and you'll already see that I've cut a bit out the back. This platform is not going to have sloping ends because it's not intended to give access to the railway line from either end. From this end, actually it goes straight to where the point motor is, the surface mounted point motor. And from this end, it will go almost immediately, if not immediately, to where the bowstring bridge starts. So if you step off this end, you've got a long drop. The way I have in mind at the moment is that this building is going to sit about there. Let me just so I can see it properly rather than just through the screen. And there will obviously be the fencing that will run along here. And this is going to provide a kind of sloped walkway, but out of sight. So it will give me access to the platform will be through here, more fencing here, and obviously there'll be fencing all along here to bound the area. And I'm proposing, if I can work out how to do it, that this isn't going to have a brick front, but rather will be supported on a series of posts. There's plenty of stations of that kind around, and this is really a very cheap made station. It's not intended to take great weight or great numbers, and I think that may work. So that's what's in my mind at the moment. What I'm going to do now is go away and finish painting the building. I've got a door to fit in it, which is again never throw anything away from a Metcalfe kit. This is a spare of a shop door, which is going to go in there eventually, and it's sort of LNER colour green, so I'm quite happy with that. The windows are going to be dormer windows from the houses, the terraced houses. I never put the dormers on the terraced houses because it would be wrong for the period, but I think that's going to look quite nice stuck in there, and that should give us our building. And then I've got to make up the fencing for the station. I've got to make up the name boards, the running in boards, which we've got for Sharkey's End, and then we'll have a look at what what we do by way of scenic work around and underneath the station. We've also got some construction to do to extend the upper level a little bit to get to where the bridge is going to be. So we'll carry on with the station as the next piece, and I'll come back when I've got a bit more done on the station. Speak to you then. Well, here you see the completed station. As I said I would do, I've put the fencing, let's get my fingers in the right place, there we go, fencing around. So this is all scale model scenery fencing. It's excellent stuff, I have to say. You'll have seen it as the fencing from Grey Havens to the church. And at the back there, I've just done a little bit of the fencing going down the ramp, mainly because it's not going to be seen. But what will be seen is just that section where people come up and onto the platform. The name boards, Sharkey's End. At some point I'm going to get a very fine pointed daub of white paint to put the apostrophe in between the Y and the S. So for those of you shuddering at Sharkey's End missing its apostrophe, at some point it will get it. And the platform building, I put some posters on. I only realised when I started doing this video that what I thought were wonderfully straight posters are in fact a bit wonky, but never mind. Perhaps the bill poster when he came along was having too much fun the night before. So the platform's built, as you see. It's on four, there's more than four. There's 12 legs that it sits on. And when I put it on the layout, underneath I should put some scrub and stuff here to block so it doesn't look straight through, which I think will be okay. And I said there wouldn't be ramp access from the ends. I've left a small gap. I might put a little ladder here to allow access from the track onto the platform. I won't put anything at this end because that's the one where there's a very long drop. I think it must be in inches terms, about 4.5 inches. So when I get a chance, I'll put up here what that is in real distance. But whatever it is, if you fell off it, you wouldn't walk away. So what I'm going to do now is move this onto the layout so you can see where it's going to be and get an idea of what other work I've got to do in way of building and finishing the abutment and the wall. And then once I've done that, I'll go away and do all of that stuff and you'll see the finished effect. So I'll just give me a minute to put this on the layout and then I'll speak to you again shortly. Here you see Sharkey's End now positioned on the layout where it will be. And one of the happy accidents from building the platform in the way that I have is that the feet at the right hand side, which you may just be able to see, largely covers the wires coming out of the point motor. Hurrah! I have checked before I finish building that there is clearance for carriages and trains going through. And once the station is in its proper position and stuck down, there is. And I'll obviously make sure of that before I finalise everything. But trains, locomotives and carriages comfortably past the edge of the platform, which is good. I've taken up a bit of cork. You'll see where the track has been taken out. I've lifted the cork there because I need a longer section. So I'd have to do something there. So it was easier just to cut a piece out and be able to put a new section in. And where the station ends, there'll be a platform extending across the abutment, which will be supported onto the abutments. If I show you one of these, this is a scale model scenery canopy support if I can get it, there we go, which is double O gauge. But I think that will look quite nice as an iron support for the platform as it extends out to meet the bridge, which is very roughly placed about where it's going to be. Obviously, it's going to be raised up a bit, otherwise there'd be something of a roller coaster ride as you entered the bridge. But that's sort of where everything's going to be. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and do all the building. I probably will also complete the retaining wall around and up to the start of the abutment using that thinner mount board that I mentioned, I think, in the last video. So I'll come back once I've completed all this work. Probably also, if I can, if I've got time, before I intend to put this video out next Friday, the ballasting around that final point, so that will complete the ballasting on the upper edge, and then we can turn our attention to the tracks immediately below. So I'll come back when I've completed all that work and show you where I've got to. Well, here we are a few days after the last bit was recorded, and recorded with the most extraordinary amount of optimism about how much I was going to be able to get through. So I haven't got through as much as I hoped, but I'll take you through to where I've got to, because I think this video is getting long enough now and I want to not make it too long. So what we have managed to do, as you can see, is that the wall has been extended now right to the end of the raised incline and a bit further forward. The abutment is now firmly fixed in place. If I can go in a bit on that, come round. That's as much as I can zoom. But you can see the support that's gone in. The clear piece of white plastic that was there before, obviously been painted grey and cut to size now, so it extends out as a ledge onto which the bowstring bridge will sit. That's where the bowstring bridge is going to be, and then possibly supported by a pier in the middle, but maybe not. Now that I've done it like that, I'm not sure I need a pier in the middle. The bridge had been a very light grey, it was just primer, but I thought it needed another coat, and went for a dark grey, and I think actually it looks much better like that. The bridge supports, the canopy supports that I've reused, the double O gauge canopy supports, I've also painted a dark grey. Given this is just after wartime, I'm not sure there was much more than sort of frugality. So I did think about having that in a different colour and different colours on the bridge, but I think actually a more neutral dark grey would be more likely for the period. You can see some white filler just above the wall. You'll recall from elsewhere when I put the wall on, when I came to do the ballasting, most of the ballast immediately dropped down the back of the wall. So this time, and I hope I've managed to get it all, but as I'm working blind where the wall is in place, I've put filler along that edge, and that's just curing now. And then I'll sand it back a little bit where it needs to, but most of it will just be covered by ballast anyway. The station isn't yet firmly in place, but what I propose to do once I've finished the wall is that I will use some more of that Javis asphalt scenic material, scatter material, to cover underneath where the station is, fix the station in place, and then put the scrub in that I was talking about that would be between the posts. The posts you may be able to see, but equally you may not. I realised on reviewing the last bit of the video that the green post on which it stood, some of the painting on that was less than good. In fact, it was positively shoddy. So the posts that are visible have been given another coat of paint to give them a uniform colour. The dots are not in yet to make the apostrophes for Sharkey's End, but that will be done before Sharkey's End goes into its position firmly. So the that's left to be done now really is to position the station, to put some cork down. The cork is just the right depth to go level onto the road of the bridge, so that will be quite good. The bridge itself I don't think I can permanently fix that in place in practice. Well, I know I can't until I've done the upper level, which will be a little while, but by the time of the next video I will have completed this area and we can come back and see where that goes. And that's really pretty much it for this month. I hope you've enjoyed watching Sharkey's End finally get built, and this end of the layout built as well. And if you've liked the video, please do like, and if you haven't subscribed before, well, please do subscribe. It'd be lovely to have you along. I'm very grateful to everybody that's subscribed to my channel. I'm astonished that I'm now over 1,000 members, 1,000 subscribers, which is I'm very, very grateful for. So until I speak to you again in about 2 weeks' time, that's goodbye from Elvenhome. Bye bye.